So good morning, good afternoon and good evening to all our viewers around the globe, and welcome to another great interview. And today we have a chat with Thoor Eriksson, and Thoor is all the way from Sweden. So welcome, Thoor, and thank you for giving us your time.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Beautiful. I'll just read your intro and introduce you to everyone. So Thoor Eriksson is passionate about what brings health, vitality, and loving awareness into the world. Since early age, he was forward in his thinking, and it showed. He went from becoming a Swedish judo champion at age 20 to starting his first company giving and teaching massage at 23. A few years later, it developed into a school for body work, and more than 1,300 students joined his courses and gatherings. After 20 years in the area of education, he traveled the world for almost 10 years and then settled down in Sweden. Thoor has more than 20 years of shamanic studies and exploration of the inner reality and how it affects us here in this life. This is still a profound part of his life, and he travels to different places holding shamanic gatherings. Another important step will be to start a non-profit organisation, boosting the protection of natural habitats, rebuilding forests and initiating communities that supports a sustainable future for us all. That's great. Thoor holds a vision to support people to thrive on this planet, to protect nature and all living beings to live a sacred life here on Mother Earth. Wow, that's beautiful. And this connection, I mean, we are nature, aren't we, Thoor? And to actually, immerse ourselves in nature is really balances our body, doesn't it? It's a great place.
I feel nature is basically our mother, huh? So without her, what would we be? It's like, I love for us to restore our connection to nature, because there, when we go for walks or when we eat from nature, we thrive, huh? It's like, and in the shamanic path, we always communicate with nature. So it's like we can feel the trees, the spirit of things in plants, in trees, in the cycles of nature.
Yeah.
So today, for example, before I because here it's night now in Sweden, or it's getting close to night. So since I live out here in nature, I just by a lake. So I went to swim before here, and the full moon was just going up over the trees, and just realizing now tonight is the full moon coming on here in Sweden. So when we start to relate to the cycles of everything, we start to align ourselves with life. In our society, we may have a celebration for Midsummer on the weekend, but Midsummer was actually a few days before, huh?
Yeah.
So the real Midsummer. So how can we come back to aligning ourselves to life and the cycles of life, and also our own cycles, like women, for example, have the menstruation cycle, and we men also have our cycles, even though they are not as the women's cycle with the moon blood, as we call it. So nature is very dear to me. Many times I go out in the archipelago here and sit on a cliff and do ceremonies. I hope for many people to start to wake up to their sacred dream and their sacred relationship to nature and their hearts and themselves, and also other beings that are surrounding us. Huh?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find, or are you finding, Thoor, like, do you have a lot of men that come in and do the shamanic work with you? Or is it more female?
Well, I have a group of quite big group of people coming regularly to do shamanic work with me, and many of them have been with me for 5 to 6, maybe 5 to 10 years, and new is coming in, and that is beautiful. I can see how people long for coming home to their heart, and
Yes.
this is the new. It's like a deep desire for people now to find meaning in what's going on in the world, and what's going on in their own small world, in their
Yeah.
home, with their families. And when they go to work, why do we work? What do we add to our lives by contributing here on the planet? And many feel now that, am I doing things that are good for the planet, or am I doing things that harm my own life? So, in what way can we start to do things that is close to us, that helps us awaken the heart, move the heart, and feel connected to what we do? So I can see many people, they simply quit. They say, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore because it doesn't feel right to me. And they suddenly go to their work and say, I quit. And I feel that is a very good step. And of course, we need something to replace this with, so we just don't go home and say, what now? Which is a good thing anyhow, and all these questions. And when people come to my gatherings, because I work also with plant medicine is, for example, ayahuasca.
Yeah.
Ayahuasca has been with me for many, many years, and I've been holding gatherings for about 13 years now, and 25 years on the shamanic path. So I'm blending the Native American tradition with the South American tradition, which is very much plant medicine. And the North American also have plant medicine, but are also focusing a lot on stone people lodges or sweat lodges, sun dances, medicine wheel, and sacred ceremonies.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But what I see in the gatherings is this longing to come home, to experience the heart again, what it means to love someone and feel love. Is in this society we have in some way become very streamlined.
Yes.
So we wake up in the morning and every part of the day is kind of streamlined. You do this until 4 o'clock, and after 4 o'clock we pick up children, and then you go to the gym, and then it's a few hours before you're going to go to sleep, and then you wake up again. And this is what I'm saying. Many people now discover that it doesn't give meaning to their life anymore. Just stress, and is it going to be the same again and again and again? And if it doesn't have heart, what we do, we start to become depressed and also burned out, because we are doing things from our will and from force instead of a longing and a connected way of expressing ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is definitely like that. And I think, excuse me, when we had the first major lockdown you know, and the world stopped. The whole world stopped. So many people realized in that time that their life was very much that Groundhog Day, you know, just doing the same every single day. And they realized that they actually didn't like that lifestyle and weren't spending enough time with their children, their families. A lot of people changed their lives after that. It was really good. I think it was a great stop, look and listen, you know, to just tune in with self and see what is going on in my life, you know. So it's sometimes those things are quite good. They're perfect, aren't they, really, to let us see what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a saying that nothing bad that doesn't have something good with it.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And I think this is the revelation we can explore, because when we enter into a crisis, I like the Chinese saying. I think it's called Bei Qi, which is the word for crisis. And these two words, one means danger and one means qi, energy, opportunity. So each time there is a crisis, we have the chance to look at life.
Right.
It's like the old is falling apart. And what do we do now? Do we go down with it, or do we reorganize us? Are we born again? And like the phoenix, we are coming back to life even more aware, more connected than before.
Yes.
And I've seen this crisis. It's like many people fear crisis, and I can understand, because it is actually the old falling apart. And, and many times we simply doesn't want to let go of the old, But the crisis actually gives us no choice. We have to either join the movement or go down with the movement.
Yes. And often, you know, people want their life in balance, you know, balanced and all smooth, but it's not until it's out of balance that we find our, you know, outside of our comfort zone as well, you know. It's where life is, really shows us what else. And Thoor,
Absolutely.
your ayahuasca is very much a thing now, you know, like there's a lot of people that are taking people through ayahuasca journeys. When did you first start with that? Like, what advantage did it have for you in taking it?
Right. Yeah, ayahuasca is a sacred plant from the rainforest, and basically it is a medicine that we put together from 2 different plants, and sometimes you can add also other plants to it. And yet the basis is what we call coffee and cholipunga, or coffee and chakruni. So coffee is like a wine climbing the trees. It has like a spiral shape in itself. And chakruna is the leaf from a tree. And by combining these 2 plants, we get an alchemy between masculine and feminine. And this alchemy then creates the medicine we call ayahuasca. So without these 2 coming together, it doesn't give the visionary depth as together.
Right.
So ayahuasca was discovered by the West quite long ago, and it started with mostly anthropologists going into the rainforest to interact with the natives and took part in certain ceremonies that they was holding in the jungle. So in that sense, some of these shamans or discoverers brought that into the West. And ayahuasca been in the rainforest for as long as we know, basically. It's a part of the rainforest since ages. And the way the shamans of the jungle who were more connected, basically they could communicate directly, and some still can, directly with the plants. The plants are in themselves tells the shaman, this is what I'm good for.
Right.
And in all healing approaches, they do that they open up. Okay, the person comes to get healing. Now the shaman is looking at that person uniquely and what he needs to go through in order to heal. Right. So in relationship with the spirits of the forest and the spirits of existence, basically, the shaman now asks questions and get answers directly from the spirits. So everything is about communication. When we consciously move from being ignorant that we are in a relationship, we consciously move to, okay, I am in a relationship with everything. With you and I right now, we have a communication right now, and something grows from that. If we enter the forest and really invite the nature to respond, the communication is invited and starts to happen. So ayahuasca, we call it grandmother ayahuasca. And grandmother ayahuasca is the spirit of the rainforest. And some people even say spirit of the earth, planet Earth. So when we drink this medicine in a sacred space where there is a holder guiding the ceremony and really create that ceremony within a container of alchemy, that we call it. The alchemy, in my sense, is that I'm calling all the powers in the four directions. So we use the medicine wheel, and the medicine wheel is like an alchemy of relations. So, for example, in the north, you have the mind, You have the mind and animal kingdom. And in the south, you have the water, which is the element of water, of course, but also the plant kingdom. And in the west, we have Mother Earth. In the east, we have Grandfather Sun. So by using this alchemy, we create a container for people to journey within. And of course, we also call them like enlightened teachers, Yeshua. We call in very good relations. So when people now journey inside this container, they are protected. And this is very important because when you open yourself deeply inside and open to the greater mystery and the big, big knowledge that is out there and in here, then in that container, you know that you can relax, that you are safe. No entities or harsh energies can enter that space. So for me, I was studying the Native American traditions. That was my first entrance into the shamanic world. And for 12 years, I was taught by a woman from the United States that had a heritage and ancestry into the Cherokee tribe. And since I had my school where I teach massage and reflexology, I found it very beautiful that in the summertime and the summer months, we could invite my students to deepen with the shamanic approach. my school was always different because I wanted people also to use their intuition.
Yes.
How can we not only give technical treatment, but expand that treatment into listening, active listening? What is my client needing? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
So we actively combine technique with listening and intuition. So the shamanic approach for many of the students were very natural because it was about going deeper into our own relationship with the spirit in our own heart and the spirit in everything. So in the first 12 years, it was a lot about learning about sacred space, ceremonies, the medicine wheel, doing sweat lodges and sun dances. And everything was about alchemy and how we can relate to ourselves in relationship to existence, so to speak. And for a long time, I've been looking into ayahuasca because I've been reading many shamanic books also. And in there, they were describing some journeys with the medicine. And I was very fascinated. Wow, that sounds amazing. I would love to do that myself one day. Huh?
Yeah.
So when there was an offer from a friend of mine to see what she did, she was bringing shamans from South America to Sweden, and they were holding then gatherings with the ayahuasca. And I could feel like, wow, now I'm ready. And I actually had a lucid dream before my first ayahuasca journey, and he was telling me that now it's time to go to South America and to also let go of, to go on, so to speak, into another way of relating in the shamanic world. So I went to my first ayahuasca journey with the shaman from Brazil. And then there were several shamans coming to Sweden, and I went to everyone that was there because
Wow.
I felt really deep call to the medicine.
Yeah.
And what happens is that you drink the medicine, and of course you drink it because you have prepared yourself. Usually in my circles, I ask them to start like 1 month before, and some even earlier, to cleanse and purify the system and to prepare yourself for something that may change your life forever. Basically.
Yeah.
I see it as an opener, a potential opener of the heart, and to come back to divine source within yourself. So once you know that, okay, I'm going to go a ceremony, and you have chosen the one you would like to work with, which is the shaman, and I always hold ceremonies with a partner that is a feminine partner. So we combine the masculine and the feminine.
Yes.
And I find that very beautiful because some people really needs the feminine and some others needs the masculine.
Yes.
And some needs both. So drinking the medicine is like sitting there holding death and birth within yourself. And you know, once you drink the medicine, there is no return. It's like you are giving yourself to the unknown and to the surrender that will come eventually within yourself. So it's a courageous act, and it's a conscious step for many to enter into a new relationship that has the potential to offer a lot of insights. And if we flow with the medicine, it will awaken you in the dream space. So after drinking it, it's like, wow, you wake up and you see yourself much more clear. And if you are fortunate, you can also feel the spirit of the forest, our rainforest, which is my grandmother ayahuasca. So for me, it was amazing because I started to see where I was stuck, they could say.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And I could see suddenly all my judgments, all my ignorance, and what that created, huh? So that was the first night I took medicine ever in this setting with a group. I think we were maybe 30, 40 people in that group. So it was a big group. Huh?
Yes.
The groups I have is 12 people. I found that very nice container for me to work with. So I was very devastated because it was like seeing what I didn't want to see about myself.
It's a bit of a shock, isn't it?
It is because sometimes we have beliefs, huh? That if these beliefs are kind of shielding ourselves from seeing who we are clearly. We say, no, that's not me, this is me only. And yet we are creating maybe a dysfunctional feeling in our life. It's like we go into anger, we go into the separation, we go into depression, stress. All this is like a result of us holding certain belief system in place. Huh?
Yes.
And we may not see them, but we can feel them. And if we start to look at our life and, wow, why am I so stressed? Why am I so sad? Why am I so angry? You know, all these things. It begins with these questions.
Yeah.
And when we take the medicine will start to show us where we hold things. So suddenly, for me, I started to see my relations and how I was judging them for not being the way I wanted, or I was judging myself for not being the way I wanted. And I could see how my preconceptions created a lot of repercussions in my life that made me close my heart and made me feel, of course, a closed heart also creates separation, that we feel alone and we don't feel connectedness with others.
Yeah.
So the whole night it was just showing me things all the time. And I was like, wow, wow, wow. And of course, the beauty here was that it was 2 nights. So we journeyed on Friday, and then we had another journey on Saturday. And I like the concept of doing 2 nights because the first night is like the medicine is very intelligent. So if it knows you have 2 nights, it will work differently from 1 night.
Right.
So if you have 2 nights, usually the first night is about cleansing, purification, revelation, to start seeing things. Like it's like going through the darkness to come to the light later. So in the end of the first night, I was just feeling so devastated. I was like, wow, I'm all this and what to do. I was just feeling
Shocked.
This is shock. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was shocked, and I know the one of the assistants of the ceremony. She came to me and she was holding my hand afterwards, and I was just laying there almost crying because it was a shock, as you said, and I call this the moment of revelation. And what do we do now with this? Huh?
Yes.
Do we judge ourselves and say, oh, this is how I am, I cannot change anything, and I have to live my life as a miserable being? Or, wow, what can I do now? What do I need to do to come home to something bigger in myself? So after the first night, I was really with this for the next day, and it was also coming to me that I'm fixed, so I'm repeating myself. I cannot move out of something.
Right.
Because if we don't see something, we are always stuck because the subconscious is playing out all the time.
Yes.
And if we don't see, we cannot change. So revelation is one part of the journey with ayahuasca, that
The change.
we have to go through the darkness to enter through the light. And the darkness is creating consciousness to our whole being when we go through this. And of course, what ayahuasca is, it's releasing. So many times you vomit, huh? And the vomit is a part of the cleansing and purification and letting go. Many times it's energy coming out. So you vomit, and maybe just a tiny thing is coming out, but it feels like you've been releasing like heavy stones inside of you. So the next day was time for another drink. And I started to drink medicine, and the communication was, okay, so what do you want to do now? Do you want to go on like you always have? Or do you want to look at it in a new way? And I was very fiercely decided, I want to change. I want to go on. Huh? And what happened was that suddenly was this cobra snake was there. And it came to me, and it was sitting in front of me. And it started to bite me in all my chakras.
Oh, wow.
And the snake is like a very powerful symbol for Mother Earth, for Kundalini, and for transformation. And again, and many of us are afraid of the snake, which is basically we are afraid for that, those powers within ourselves, for what the chakras and our energy centers stand for. And the Kundalini is the life force energy that wants to come out. And if we refuse that, it cannot move freely, and we get stuck. So I could feel it was like a release of these energies that wanted to flow in the system. And again, a view came where all my patterns started to show themselves, and the judgment, and I asked, okay, what can I do? What can I do? And it was like, okay, start to feel your heart. And I was asking myself, what is love? What is heart? I didn't know. Huh?
Yes.
And then something beautiful happened, that the archetype of Christ, like Joshua, showed itself to me, and it said, mirror yourself in me.
Yeah.
because I couldn't feel in myself. I couldn't feel that heart. I couldn't feel that love. I didn't know what does it mean to be connected. What does it mean to feel love and heart?
Yes. Yes.
And suddenly, when I looked at Christ, I looked into his eyes, and I could feel his love for me and for all beings. I started to feel something in myself, and it was like, wow, this is amazing. This is and since I've been working a lot with the shamanic approach for 12 years before that, very deeply, I was building on that. So suddenly I reached out to all my incarnations, and I asked them to mirror themselves into Christ. And I could see like thousands of me from all these lifetimes and personalities showing up in this space I was. And they all started to mirror themselves into Christ consciousness. And it was just mind-blowing what started to happen and how I started to transform. And of course, then things that are in between started to come up and wanted to be released. And then a lot of vomiting, letting go. And then after vomiting, there is like a space within, because you let go of something that is stuck within you. And now you fill that space with all that love, all that Christ consciousness. So I work with that during the night, which is, the journey is maybe, for us, it's around 5-6 hours. And for some, it's even longer.
Yeah.
And I could feel after that weekend, something had shifted, and I could feel very happy. A lot of energy was moving through me, and I told myself, "Wow, I want more of this." This is my way. And what I discovered, of course, when we work in the other way, in the first 12 years, was very much about doing the ceremonies and feel things from the outside going in, and from that part, how can I relate to things? But here it was like waking up inside of yourself, feeling everything and seeing who you are. And through that, I could make sense in a different way to the shamanic work. So this was my first experiences of ayahuasca, and I decided, okay, to commit myself to this.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful. I call it like it's not for the faint-hearted. Yeah, it's not for the faint-hearted. It's for people who feel a call deep within themselves that I want to do this, and I want to discover myself.
That's a beautiful story and experience, Thoor. And I understand the revelation with Christ. Christ also, for me, came forward to show reflection, and to and it starts with you coming through, like you're saying, it connecting from the outer in. And then it's like this inward out, isn't it? It transfers, it starts bringing us through into self, and then we can express it out. When we talk about Christ in this way, like, what would you say the differences are between religion and spirituality? Because I think a lot of people get stuck in that.
Well, I like that question because it makes a huge difference. And as I talked about before, everything is how we relate to things, and where does it come from, and what does it give us in return. So when I talk about Christ, I talk about the relationship to the heart and to an expanded awareness that is touching us in a way that enhances love in our life.
Mm.
If we have preconceptive ideas and concepts that limits our feeling of love, they in themselves limits our relationship to the divine within.
Mm. Mm.
So when we look at our life and want to become conscious being, we start to look at our relationship to life. Is the relationship enhancing love and heart and intimacy between people and life and animals and nature? Then we are on the right path.
Mm.
So when we start to see that everything has spirit, that everything can be respected and honored, and that we can see the divine in everything, like we look at a person and we see their heart, we see their godlike nature in them, then we are in a spiritual relationship with life. If we are in a relationship with ideas and concepts that takes us away from heart, then we are in a relationship with mind.
Mm. Yes.
And mind is about concepts. The mind can be very, very beautiful when it's in service of the heart.
Yes.
The problems we get is when we make the mind the ruler of the heart, because then it can block out the heart's feeling of expansion or connectedness, because we don't allow it to go there. Even though if we go deeper and deeper inside, the heart is always beaming. It's just that we are disconnecting ourselves from the heart. How that now is possible, because it's not possible. It's just a mind relationship that makes us feel disconnected.
Yes.
So, yeah. So this is the difference between religion and spirituality. Spirituality is a conscious way of always looking to connect our life to the heart. And we enter into judgment. We know it's the mind again that wants to engage preconceptive ideas,
Yes.
that separates us. And if a religion says this is the only way to God, or you should believe in me but nothing else, then it's easy to create separation between different belief systems. The heart always is in divine connection with the greater existence.
Yes.
So if we can come there, suddenly we are connected, and we are, and connectedness means in spirit. Inspiration is that we are inspiration between basically means breathing in, receiving,
Yeah.
and expiration is to let go. So already there we have something we can learn from life. We need to inhale and we need to exhale. So the inhalation is receiving God, and holding the breath is God receiving you, feeling you, touching you. Exhaling is you giving yourself to God. It's a beautiful exchange
It
always.
is beautiful.
And this exchange, when we give that to ourselves and to others, we start to realize that everything is life. In life is this kind of exchange. We receive something, we hold it, we feel it, and we give something. So this is the flow of life. And some people, they just want to give, some just want to receive, some just want to hold. And
yes.
if we don't allow this flow, then we get stuck there and we get sick and frustrated or burned out. Because if we just give and give and give, then there is nothing to fill up with. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
and if we just receive and receive, we get bloated and immobilized even there. So this is the beauty. And spirituality is open our relationship consciously to feel and touch existence. Right. So we are not holding on to a fixed concept. Religion is a fixed concept in many ways, especially if you lose yourself in the dogma that I'm calling it, which is this is how it is. But nothing is how it is. It's always changing. And if we allow that change to be with us, we are also growing and expanding every day. That is the way of the spiritual warrior, as I say, or the spiritual seeker, or spiritual man and woman. Yeah. Yes. Was that a good answer?
That's beautiful. And I love that touching existence, touching and feeling existence. I think that was lovely. And that shock, in seeing self in that journey with ayahuasca, it is a shocking thing, because we truck on in life and we think we're doing really well, and then we take a journey like that and we really see the character that we've been playing out, and it's not who we are, it's more that mind concept stuff. But it's such a shock to see it and to be really real with self and honest in that awakening as well, isn't it? And knowing that that is not who we want to be at all, because we know what's deeper. We know what's deeper, and that's where the shock is, I think, is seeing that we're actually separating ourselves from that deepness when we're playing out all that character. And it is a shock. I know I've had many shocking awakenings like that, and having to be really honest with myself that that is actually true, that it is, and what I was up to and how I was playing it out. But it isn't something we want to carry on with. So it does, in that shock, and often human have to be shocked to change it, don't we? I don't know why we have to, but we do. So yes, it's something I've often thought about doing as ayahuasca, but I've never had the courage to. I've done LSD, the acid, when I was younger, and that was really awakening as well. That helped me see things differently. The wall wasn't solid anymore. It wasn't a solid wall. I could move my hands through that. It showed me that matter wasn't actually solid. So I had some big aha moments in those, but ayahuasca, I don't know. I haven't gone there yet. It's intrigued me, though, I have to say. It sort of draws you in, doesn't it? It's like calls you in.
It is. It is speaking to many now, because it has been offered to the world, and it is moving out from the rainforest into the West, into our civilized.
Yes.
I would say it's funny when we say our civilized society, because our civilization has also boxed us into all these ways of being that has made, as a result, all this disease and separation and stress and depression. So our civilization really have something beautiful and also something really challenging for us, because we are the speed is getting faster and faster with the technology, and we actually need to go the other way inside at the same time. We need to find our breath. We need to
Yes.
restore our connection to nature, because nature is part of our heritage, and without nature we cannot feel well, because it's like denying a part of who we are. And so
Yes.
in what way can we restore our relationship to what brings us connection, art, and peace, I would say, instead of the opposite. So medicine is now coming in many ways for us. And of course, a crisis that, as we talked about in the beginning, can be many different kind of crises. So disease is also one crisis, which is when we simply don't feel well anymore. And not feeling well is very unpleasant.
It is.
And this, yeah, you know, if we if we don't feel well, nothing is really fun anymore or
No.
joyful. Um, so then there is an opportunity again, as I said, the way there is an opportunity and there is a danger. And it depends now what kind of choice will you take in relationship to this crisis. Do you want to run away or do you want to face it? Um, and face it is then suddenly we need to look at ourselves. We need to look at the choices we hold within. And if we are willing to do that, there will be an opportunity for change that will take you to the next level of existence. And suddenly that disease is a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Because it made you really motivated to move.
Yes.
Uh,
Hopefully.
yeah, and this is the interesting thing. If we don't move, then it will get worse, because that
Yes.
disease is the accumulation of choices we made that granted you that disease, that challenge. And are you now gonna try to push it away or not? And what happens if we push it away, it will simply go deeper, because it's a message that wants to be seen and heard. And if we try to refuse it, it will simply get stronger and come in other ways. And you may even need to go as far as feeling so bad that you cannot resist to go the other way. Or death will come and relieve you from that pain and suffering. Which also happens to many people. They go all the way to death. And
I
the
do.
physical relief of this body and entering into spirit form to be reborn again, I would say. Huh? And now, what are you going to do now? Now you're a baby. Are you going to repeat yourself, or are you going to change something, right? Yeah. Cycle of life.
Yes.
I think it's scary for many people to know that they go on forever.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
go on forever. Huh? And according to my observation, we are eternal as spirit. And the physical body we lay off, but where were we before we came into matter? And now when we release the physical body, we go back to a stage of formlessness, as we call it. And we go down in the physical body again, it's because we want to experience more all these physical feelings, emotions, mind, spirit, all the intricate web that we are in when we are in this physical body.
Yes. And
That
Thoor,
is the spirit doing. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. What role do the people, the closest relationships in our lives, like what sort of roles do they play for us in this change and
Right.
growth?
Yeah, that's, I would say that our closest relationships, and basically we could say we have family, and then we have friends, but we also have super good friends and more distant friends, huh?
Mm.
And family is sometimes the ones we were born into, like the physical family, like father, mother, sister, brother, and so on.
Mm.
And then we also have family of heart, like soul friends. And all of these play a different role in our lives because they want to show us who we are and what we hold within. And I love if we enter into that perspective, because if we realize that our closest relationships are there to, we can say, mirror us. And if I say mirror us, it means to show what goes on inside of us in a relationship. So to our mother, we feel certain things. To the father, we feel different things. To our lover, we feel a particular thing. And for me, life is when I step closer to something, I see myself more. So that's why also some people, they choose to keep people at a distance, because then it's more calm. Huh?
Yes.
But the moment, so I don't feel anything. I'm in peace. Okay, but where are you in relationship to others? You are this far, huh? And you know, if you look at a tree and you go very close to the tree, you will start to see all the small details of the tree. And this is the same with relationships. When we dare to step closer, for example, in a partnership, we suddenly start to feel much more
Yes.
of, that relation. So we start to feel immense love or fear, for example. Huh? These are the two qualities of life. One is love, and we can deepening into that love. One is fear, which is more like rejection of what is. And the more we enter into fear, the more separation we create. So we may have concepts about partnerships, for example. And when we move into a close relationship, we start to see all these concepts. So if we realize that our partner or our close relationships only show ourselves more, and what we feel and see in others is what goes on in ourselves.
Yes.
So then a relationship becomes a blessing, because even if it's a challenging relationship where we enter into anger and resentment, if we have that understanding that, wow, this anger is within me, not in that person, right? Then I can shift from we call it projecting onto others who I am.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah.
So I, instead of seeing this is who I am, then I point finger and say, this is who you are. And you are all this, huh? And basically we tell the other one, I am.
It's almost like the, you know, when you look at it like that, as we do, it's almost like these people that are around us are like the walking ayahuasca journey, you know. They're
Right,
showing
right.
us, you know, the internal and what we are in reflection to them. And that can be a bit of a, you know, a shock as well, can't it? In that realization that this is actually me.
Right. It is a shock. Like, wow, where did all that anger came from? And then we have like a tendency to avoid people who makes us
Yes.
feel all these things, huh?
Mm.
And yet life will always bring them to our life, because life always wants us to grow and expand in consciousness.
Yes.
So once we realize, and this is the spiritual journey, that once we realize that everything is about consciousness, and the way I relate to life give me certain revelations and experiences of myself. So if I can observe my own behavior and my own judgment and realize that, wow, this is actually inside of me. And when I go close to that relation, I feel a lot of love. When I go there, I feel a lot of fear. And instead of avoiding that fear now, I start to look at it in myself. Who is afraid inside of me, and what am I afraid for? And
Yes.
what can I do now to heal that fear within myself, so I become safe in every relation, right?
Yes.
And then I start to be comfortable with all relations, because they are offering me an opportunity to see myself. And of course, if one relationship is very challenging, and we can almost say too challenging, then I can take an approach, more softer approach to it, so I can handle it. Huh? We
Yes.
don't want to. We don't want to be too forceful with ourselves. We want to be gentle and loving. And if we have that kindness towards ourselves, we can grow in beauty instead of all these super dramas that we are creating
Yes.
sometimes. You know?
Mm.
So if we are living in a drama, we know that we are entertained by that drama. So we are always seeking ourselves to the drama to start to see ourselves more clearly. But in the end, we will get tired of the drama.
Yes. I was going to say it's very
We
tiring playing out that
know.
drama.
Oh no, not again! I did it again and again,
Yeah.
and right
Mm.
until the day I get it, huh? And
Yeah.
when I get it, there is this revelation changing myself. So
Mm.
there is a realization in me that by observation of ourselves, we become aware of who we are. And when we become aware, we actually now have a choice to choose.
Yes. We
Before
do.
there was an awareness, how could we choose? We were just playing out the unawareness, right? And this, when I say this, an important realization also wants to be seen and heard. And that is, when we look at our past, look at it with love and acceptance instead of judgment. Huh? Because many people say, oh, I could have done differently. Because I intellectually at that time, I knew that this was wrong to do. Huh? So, but anyhow, I did it, and it caused a lot of repercussions. Right? Maybe I lashed out with anger towards someone, and they took a distance to me, for example. And now later I regret that I did that, right? And if I realized that at that time I did the best I could, even though I knew intellectually better. I still acted on some subconscious parts of
Yes.
me.
Yeah.
So when I look back, instead of judging myself, I can feel compassion towards myself.
Mm. Mm.
And now that compassion starts to heal that relation with my old self, and awareness starts to grow. This is very different from saying you were bad and you shouldn't have done that and you hit on
Yes.
yourself, because then
Yes.
you only enhance that part of yourself that is still in existence. So all parts are living with us all the time.
Yes.
Going back to the past and giving compassion and love actually transform that past, make you feel better of yourself in this now.
Yes.
So this is very important. Let us love ourselves with compassion and love, and embracing ourselves like, I love you, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
That makes all the difference.
It does.
So that will create healing. Wow.
Mm.
I don't know how much time do we have left?
Yes,
Is
I
it
was just
going?
going to say that's an absolutely beautiful way to end this chat with you, Thor. It's been absolutely wonderful, and thank you for sharing your shamanic wisdom with us. And I'm sure the groups that come to you and the gatherings that you have are all so transformative for everybody. And thank you so much for all you're doing in helping this planet and humanity move itself through into its new existences.
Yeah, thank you so
It's
much.
beautiful.
And yeah, I'm really grateful for you taking this time and for what you do, because what you do is really important. And
Oh, thank
it's
you.
like sharing the good things with the world, and that
Yes.
is truly needed at this time. So thank you
Oh,
so much
thank
for
you
taking the
so
time.
much. Beautiful. And take
Yeah,
very good care. We'll talk again soon.
we
Beautiful.
do.
Thank
Bye
you,
for
Thor.
now.
Bye.
Thank